Alright, what's up everybody? It's your boy Eric here. Doing another unboxing review. Get my thumb the hell out of the way. Uh, anyway, yeah, as you can tell I'm doing this on my phone. That's what only thing I have to record with. That's why I kind of want my thumbs in the way. So, I apologize, and also for kind of moving around a little bit. Alright, sorry, I gotta work my screen off real fast. Anyway, okay, as you can see, I just bought one of these. I've had my eye on them for a little while. I'm sure some of you older people will know what a Sega Genesis is. Younger folks, you might not be familiar. You might have heard of Sega and know that they make games, but you might not know they used to have their own systems, and they were doing that for a little while. Some of you know it, some of you don't know it. Those few that don't know it, there was probably back in the day, the most popular system they ever had was a Genesis. Sega Genesis, and obviously their little character Sonic there. That's what was making them good money, and they used to be quite competition for Nintendo back in the day. First system that came from Nintendo that was really big, at least one during my generation, was NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, which was pretty big, pretty basic, but still was quite popular. Then shortly after that came the Super NES, Super Nintendo, and right around the same time that came out, so this came out. Now Sega had other systems before then, but I wasn't familiar with them because they weren't very popular. Like they were called like the Mega Drive or something. I'm not really sure what they were called. But Genesis was their first like really big system, and it came out right around the same time Super NES came out. So they were both pretty head-to-head competition-wise. The games, a lot of them were the same. The few that weren't the same, which were pretty similar, but on the market they were pretty neck and neck competition-wise. Recently, I heard they came out with actually a Nintendo version, kind of like an NES version that had like this system, old system like this. They've been doing it for Sega for a little while. There's a handheld one, which is what I wanted to get, but I went to my local Rite Aid, and I don't know how it is for you guys, where you guys live, but I know in my Rite Aid, when they have something on the product, some products are on the shelf for a while, eventually they'll go on sale. Now, their regular prices are kind of steep at times, but what their sales are amazing. They give you like 50% off, 75% off, and so this was 75% off. Normal price for it, if I remember correctly, I think was 50 or 40 or something like that in the store. I've looked this up online. The cheapest one I was able to find online was I think 66. So that was the cheapest one online. But I've seen them go for $100 and crazy prices. You'd be surprised for online. You think it'd be cheaper, but online these things actually cost more, which I was even surprised to see that. And they're not too special. They come with built-in games. As you see, a couple of wires controls, which is definitely nice. Two of them, as a matter of fact, 6-button controllers, which is nice. So those of you that don't know this, the ones that do know Genesis know there's two controllers, there's a 3-button controller and a 6-button controller. Now, certain games did run with 6 buttons. The majority of them were all 3-button games. Some did require 6, which is why they added them. That's one thing they also did to kind of compete with Nintendo, because Super Nintendo only had one controller, so at the very beginning. Theirs had the 4-button layout there with the R and L button at the top. Now, these ones have no buttons on the top, but the main pad had 4 for SNES, and they mainly had 3, so they had one more button. So then they eventually come with the 6-button controller like this, was kind of competition-wise for them, and also certain games required it. Now, as you can see, this one comes with certain games. These are like the better games, the Sonic games, which those of you that know Sega will obviously know these ones. And also comes with the first three Mortal Kombat games, which were all made for system. Now, I believe there was other Mortal Kombat games for this one. I think they had like the Tournament Edition or something like that. Or maybe before. I can't remember how far it went up before they stopped making them for the system. Because they made Genesis for quite a long time. Because out of all the like old systems such as this one, Genesis was probably the one that lasted the longest. Because they made Super Nintendo and 64 and all that kind of stuff. Every few years they make a new system. But like I said, Genesis they kept around for quite a long time. They built, I think, 3 different versions of them, and they had so many accessories. There was Sega CD that attached to like the systems. They had a 32X, and there was a 32-bit, a 64. I don't know if they made a 64-bit. I know it's 32-bit. Then they had this one, which I think was 16-bit. I believe is what this one was, just out of the box. No, these are just some of the games. These are the better games, obviously, the games that people would be mostly familiar with. And like I said, it's a small system like that. Has built-in. The cool thing I like about it mostly is, I don't know how you can see it there, but there's a cartridge slot on it. So if you have any old Sega games laying around, or you want to buy some from off, like say Amazon or eBay or whatever, you could actually play old original games on this, just like it was a regular system, but it's like small. It's like the size of the Genesis 3, size-wise. So those of you that also know Genesis know there's a couple problems with a few of their accessories. A lot of their accessories they made back in the day would only work on certain systems. Like, I saw a video not too long ago about their, I think it was the Mega Drive, I think it's what they called. There was a system that worked with actual like cards you would put in, not like cartridges, like cards. I mean like playing card type things. And you played them like that, and I think it had cartridges as well. I think it did both, but that wouldn't work on all the Segas. That worked on some of them. Well, not some of them, I should say. I believe just the first model. If you look it up online, you can see all the different models. Kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, they all played the games, but like I said, certain things worked for certain ones. I used to have the second model of Genesis, I believe. My cousin had the first, which the first was kind of better because it had a headphone jack on the side with a volume button on it, and it would fit everything and anything on it that they had extra. Well, actually, I don't think that it would fit anything. I don't know, because I had a Sega CD with mine, which fit right on the side of the number 2 system. You were just literally like, it would just, you would take it out of the box, the system would fit right on top of it, fit side by side. Look it up online, you can see what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if that would go on anything other than the second one. But before I run out of video time here, as the 25th anniversary, so yeah, they've been celebrating this for a while now. So yeah, because some of you are younger than that even, so that's why a lot of you guys won't know this. This just came out, this one was made this 2016. I don't know how well you guys can see that. I'll try to make it come in better if I can. Nah, you can't really come in. They said they recommend 15 and plus. I don't know why they recommend such an old age for this. You shouldn't have to be 15 years old to play this. You could be definitely younger. Well, Sega, one thing Sega did versus Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo was more towards a younger audience. Super Nintendo was for older gamers. Like, you know, they still make kid games, don't get me wrong. But, you know, a lot of their games, they included, like, a lot more blood and stuff in their games. And a lot more, like, you know, bad games, I guess you can call for back in the day and everything. There's more of an adult system. Kids could play it too, but like I said, more adults. Don't even know why I'm showing stuff. You can't even see it anyway. Not like any of the stuff, the fine print on the side really, truly matters. You can, yeah, there you go, now you can see it. None of that stuff really matters with anything to do with it. It just says, obviously, you know, watch out. You can, to recycle it, don't throw it away. Obviously, you know, keep it away from kids, all that kind of stuff, yada, yada, yada. And then there's this stuff, if you can see it, basically says about, a little bit about about Sega Genesis. It says about how this particular one was made in 2016. If you can see it and find it on there, it says on there someplace. Now, they've been making these things for a little while, keep in mind. This is like, I don't know which version this is, like, number-wise, but they have made a few of these. They even got handheld ones, which I said in the beginning is what I wanted to get. The cool thing about the handheld one, it has an SD card slot on it, and they want you to go online and buy the games, and then you copy the SD card, and then you can play that way. But anybody that knows their way around a computer and knows anything about emulators and ROMs, you can download the ROMs and play them on your phones, well, Android phones. I don't think you could play them on iPhones, not to my knowledge. But now you can play them on Androids and computers. And I don't know, because I haven't really put it to the test, but I was looking at the games that they want you to download and pay for, and I'm pretty sure they're the same format as the ones you could download for free offline. So you don't really technically have to pay for them. You just go online and look them up and buy them. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure you can avoid buying them altogether. But anyway, just put the SD card slot on the handheld one, start playing. It also has a built-in battery, and I think it's got an even plug for this. You can play on the TV, and the system itself becomes your controller. But the one bad thing about the handheld one is I don't believe you can put a second controller on it versus this one that comes with 2 controllers. I'm pretty sure the handheld one is 1 controller only, which is the system itself. But you can plug it into your TV. It also has the screen on it, which I don't know how good the screen is. I still have a Sega handheld Sega Genesis, not Sega Genesis, Game Gear they call them, kind of like a Game Boy. And that thing, the screen was nice on it, don't get me wrong, but it killed the shit out of your batteries. And if it came in at least as good as that, the screen-wise, it'd be good. And the battery's rechargeable, but even for a rechargeable battery, it'd probably still kill the shit out of it. Anyway, I think I showed you this side of the box enough. Obviously, over here, you don't see nothing special. Over here, again, nothing special, says what it comes with. I'll show you the back real fast. This shows you, again, I'm trying to make it come in better. All the games that come with, a lot of them I've never heard of myself. Some of you people may know them better than I do. A lot of these ones I've never heard of. Basically, the ones on the front of the box are the ones I really never play and I know about. Some of them are legit Genesis games, but nothing I really never playing. Because, you know, they had good games and shitty games like every system did. And unfortunately for me, they included, for built-in games, a lot of shitty games. Only so many good ones. And some of the games aren't even Sega games. They're just flat-out made-up games. So it makes me really wonder who made this. If really Sega made this, or if some third-party company made it or whatever it is. I don't know. It might have been made in Japan or China or something. China's been known for making a lot of knockoff products. Like, I'll explain one of them in a second when I get to that. But yeah, that's all of them that it comes with. Basically, like I said, all the good ones are just listed on the front. But yeah, you can buy whatever game you want and play on it. Let's open it up real quick, show you the inside of it. As you see, it comes with a little manual. Just basically explains how to hook it up, and it looks like it explains each game. It explains each game here, which I'll just play them to find that part out. So, and yeah, as you see, a controller. There's the system itself, which is pretty small actually, as you can see, judging by the size of my hand. It's a little bit bigger than my entire hand. Now I don't got that big of a hand either. As you see, simple on-off button. Menu button over here. And yeah, this on-off button, it stays down until you turn it off, which comes up. Menu button, just push, and I don't know. It's a good one. It's got even got, but it comes with wires controllers, but you could buy regular controllers as well. If you have an old school controller, if you want to buy one offline, you can actually put regular controllers into this. You don't have to just use the wireless ones. The wireless ones are probably going to be better, but unfortunately they run off batteries, like real batteries. And anyway, that's there's the back part of it. Pretty basic. There's the plug. There's this thing. And yeah, so that's that thing real quick. I'm going to make another video in a second when I hook it up of me actually playing it. One other thing I did want to mention before in this video that I also got, obviously didn't come with this, but I ordered it just offline a little bit ago. I made a previous video about my N64 about this thing called the ED64. Basically, it's a special cartridge that you put an SD card slot into it, and you download the ROMs like I was talking about earlier, copy them to the SD card, and you can play anything you want in the system that way, which is pretty badass. Now, if I remember correctly, only certain games you can actually save your progress on for Genesis back in the day, and I'm pretty sure it still stands till today with even these ones. Even if I got something, because they have something like the ED64 thing, which if you watch my videos, you'll see about that. They make something very similar for Sega, because you see there's a slot there. Basically, you put the game in there, and again, it has a SD card slot on it. You download the games offline, and again, you can play any game you want. Like, I'm not going to waste money buying all the games I want to get, because even though some are cheaper, some more expensive, depends on how good it is. I'm not going to buy them all. It's just too expensive, takes too much time. I found one for 40 bucks offline. Again, I can put it in here, put the SD card in it with all the games I want on it, and it just go to town. And yeah, obviously pretty simple, basic cord. Obviously it does the old-fashioned way, which every TV should still have this hookup. Even the old TVs have it. New ones even still have this. If I want to get an HDMI converter, I kind of make it come in a little clearer, but it's a 16-bit system, so HDMI, HD isn't going to really help us come in too much better, because, it doesn't come in so clear to begin with. Obviously, here's the plug. Again, pretty basic plug. Take a quick glance at it, if I can see it. I can't even see it myself, so I doubt you guys can. I'll look at it on my own. It says 9-volt plug. So, yeah. Good to know I can use this for other things, because it's an adapter one, and I can always get another one. It looks like pretty similar to a plug I already have, actually. Because I got one that's pretty similar to it, actually. I got a few plugs that are similar. It has that little red light thingy on it. Anyway, well, that's this part of the video. I'm going to make another one momentarily of me actually playing the game. Oh, real quick, let's show you the controller real fast. Pretty basic controller. There's a menu button on it. They never had a select button for Sega controllers, if I remember correctly. They always had a start button. Here's 6 button. Obviously, there's this, and there's a switch on the side here, which lets you pick if you're first player or second player. I don't know how well you can see that. You can barely see it, I guess, and see second player, first player. Then back here's where you put the batteries. The only thing you gotta know is you gotta have one of those little screwdrivers to get into this, to put the batteries in it. So make sure you have one of them to get into it. I'd recommend using rechargeable batteries. If you don't have them, you can use regular ones. I have rechargeable ones, luckily enough, so I don't have to worry about buying battery after battery. And cool, I can have 2 controllers I can play with my friend. And I got that other drive that comes, so I can get any game. Once that comes in the mail for me, which is going to be a little while. For now, I can play what I can play, but until I get that other controller, cartridge, I can play whatever. But that's it for this video for now. I'm going to upload this in 2 seconds. Leave a like. And yeah, and stay tuned, and I'll give you another review of me playing it. Alright, see you then.